Hey, how's it going? I am going to show you my signs before I get started. So, I was watching Don Lemon, and oh, I should have written this down. I can take care of it in the info box. But he was talking to a young man in today's Lemon Drop, but today is. You're not going to show me the date? Hold on, my phone is messing with me. Come on. Sorry, it's all, you gotta ID every way. Okay, so it's the 18th. And it's, well, Pacific time. It's 10 p.m. 10:10 actually. And if you take away the zeros, as I like to do, that makes 11. Okay, that's gonna bother me. I'm running out of places to stick stuff. Okay. That is not what I am talking about today. So, I'm watching this Lemon Drop of Don Lemon's, and he's talking to this young guy who I was sort of, he was like indeterminate of ethnicity, and his accent is not, it's just American. You know, it doesn't have a twang or a northeastern thing. It's like pretty flat. So doesn't matter though. Just I'm like giving you a visual of who was sort of talking to Don Lemon. And when the guy was talking, he mentioned that his mother was Indian, like from India, I believe. And I don't know his background, the guy whose name I didn't collect before I started talking. But he has some sort of credentials, I'm sure. He, I believe, has written stuff. I wasn't paying so much attention to... Uh-oh, I guess I don't want that up. I wasn't paying so much attention to what his background was as much as I was to what they were talking about. And my ears always perk up when I see men talking about other men, because I don't know what's up with them, and I want to hear whatever insight they have. Not all men, clearly, but there's some, a lot, I guess, that are not doing well. Like, I'm not trying to be, like, glib or an ass about this or anything, but they're, like, having a hard time with their manhood. And, you know, just an observer, obviously, but that does seem to be like the thing that they talk about a lot, that is, it's threatened, or it's, I don't know, like the main thing I seem to hear is it's threatened. And so of course the women are to blame. But also other stuff. There's a lot of blaming of stuff, and they were talking about it like it's some kind of, I don't even know, like something that could be, I don't know, like cured, but it wasn't them that needed to be cured. Like whenever they would talk about these other guys and the problems they had, and so I gotta clarify here though, there's an age gap between Lemon and the guy he was talking to. Like the guy he was talking to might be like a late end millennial, like early Gen Z. Hard to say how old he was, like 30s maybe. Anyway, everything that they talked about, which I'm not saying that they didn't have good points, because I'm going to link this. In fact, let me write that. Sorry about that. My bell fell. No, it's an empty coffee can. I don't have a I don't have a bell that size. Um. Oh. Uh-oh. I may be getting myself in trouble. I need to turn that down. But the song I'm listening to actually comes to what I'm saying, and it's Stephen Still's I Can't Find My Way Back Home. So, their conversation, it talked about like economic pressures and how, like, on one hand, like, the young man will say that stuff isn't available to them like anymore, or they used to be, which is absolutely true, but stuff that's not available, not exclusively unavailable to them, it's like it kind of everybody's getting it. And then on the other hand, in the same conversation, they were talking about having like all of the mod cons, like everything available and more that you could use to succeed and better your life and all of these things. But I don't know, man. Succeeding comes with a lot of pressures, and you have to do things that you may not be like great at, or that you don't want to do, and you're expected to succeed. Like, there are certain benchmarks in life, men especially are expected to meet, along with all of the other expectations of being men, like the proprietary ways that they're expected to be, and protectors, and strong, and not have worries, which is ridiculous and crazy. Like, I was just talking to a close friend, and they were like mentioning manhood a lot and feeling like their partner was not like, I don't know how else to describe it except for submitting. But it's not that they want like a trad wife, like somebody on the extreme right. It's not like that at all. They're not like trying to force anybody to be or do anything. It's not like that at all. But they just kept saying that they had a lot of pressures, and they do have a lot going on, this person. And so they just, I think, are feeling like they carry a lot and they don't get a lot in return. But they also mentioned that, like, when they're having these inadequacy issues, like they can't do whatever it is they're trying to pursue to their satisfaction, like, I don't know exactly even what's up with that. Like, I don't know. I just feel like, I told him, I was like, you are gonna hurt yourself with that man shit. You are just gonna wrap yourself into impossible contortions. And I'm like, who's it for? Like, I don't need that. I mean, if that's what you want to do, cool, but like, but why are you you're beating yourself up over this stuff? Like, I again, I don't get it. They didn't really talk about that, but they did talk about, like, job availability, and there's no having what your grandparents or even your parents had, really, if you're like pretty much above like millennial. That's gone, and it's not even really a sign of the times, because stuff just becomes obsolete. Better options come along, and better inventions, and different needs for things happen. Like, things that you used to need, you don't need them anymore. Just like changing out of everything happens. But they were like making it like all of this exterior to their own personal selves stuff that was happening was making their lives hard. And they started out talking about incels, but then they didn't really talk about, I mean, unless this other stuff is also considered incel stuff, but that's not how I usually hear it framed. Usually it's just like economic, uh, unsurety, like insecurity and that kind of thing. But like, to me, the incel thing is particular to like the male female relationship and how it doesn't work for people. Not just these guys, but that's who we're talking about. So they brought it up, and then they started talking about all this other stuff, like I mentioned, and it was reminding me of, like, people have just decided that autism is caused by vaccines, and people that are not doctors are making these determinations, which makes that kind of thing terrible. But there are doctors that have kind of signed on to that, and it really is, I think, is something else that has nothing to do with medicine, really. And I don't come by that information on my own. I've heard it from a number of different people, that couple of psychics and a couple of people who channel information from other realms, like the angelic realm, or from ascended masters, or just some being other than themselves that they've agreed to allow them to speak through. Like, I guess they step aside or whatever, or I don't know like what the exact arrangement is with that, but channelers allow beings, sometimes they do this, to speak through them. So I'm not sure what the distinction is between somebody who channels and a psychic, because they're not always the one and the same. Like a person that channels might just be an empath, not necessarily a psychic medium. And you actually get different types of messaging from those different types of sensitives. I mean, it might be about the same subject, but just from all different directions will you get a sort of perspective, or way to deal with whatever the issue is. So so like with the autism thing, like I think they have the cause wrong. Like they're searching in the wrong direction for what makes it happen, and also they think it's like really terrible and bad and should be eradicated, when I don't think that's what it is either. I think that it's like an evolutionary feature, because there's more and more of them, and people are like freaking out, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone look at it through that lens, like maybe this is evolutionary and we just don't understand what's happening. I mean, it's as good as anything else, because vaccines is a guess. Vaccines as the cause of autism. So anyway, back to the other subject. They were bringing up all of these factors which certainly affect young men and young people and, everybody under the sun, pretty much. But when you have a problem that recurs in your life, well, for one thing, it's recurring because there's something you're learning from each time it happens. And that was something that happened in my life for many, many years, and I did spend a lot of years going, what is wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? And that's not the way to come at it, because it's not about something you're doing wrong. It's that you're in the process of definitely doing stuff in your life that affects your life and you, and the way that you, by affecting other people, interact with those other people, like, just ways that you're affected with interactions with each other, with other people. And so, what was I saying? You interact with other people. Oh, so autism, like, some people are evolving to be autistic, I guess, for their own reasons, but also people exterior to them that interact with them and are affected by them or knowing them, being associated with them. That is how, like, it's not, I don't think it's a medical thing like we think of it normally. I just think it's something else that we haven't quite clued in onto yet. And so, this other thing with, like, the incels, but with just kind of stuff that happens to every generation. Like, they may think it's really different. And this, what's happening right now with this current administration, and then also his previous one, like, it's been kind of a progression, because the president has not all this time ever been acting alone. You know, he's had all kinds of outside influences, special interests, and then just the glommers on that are around him now that are part of his cabinet and whatever else his machinations are right now. He's always got something going on with other people, always. But what I think that they didn't ever really talk about or mention, and it's becoming, thank goodness, less of a joke for people to understand that, you know, maybe blaming everything else is not the answer, because it keeps happening and it's not working out for you. Although, like I said, you can look at that two ways, you know. But either way, going through the succession of repetitions or failing over and over, however you want to look at it, they're part of your evolution. There's, like, things that you needed to go through to, like, each sort of passing, what do you call it in school when you have your little groups of, like, you'll have, like, a little area that you'll concentrate on for, like, a month, and so, like, a packet. You eventually, like, you have to start understanding that when the things are repeating and they're happening and they're maybe not to your liking, but you're not realizing that, you know, with every time it happens, you're getting something out of it. The experience is teaching you something, and it's something that you needed to know, like, subconsciously, because usually, like I said, we'll be beating up ourselves about, what am I doing wrong? Why does this keep happening? So to look at it a different way, which is probably closer to what it's actually doing, is just that it's part of your learning curve. You know, you're not going to get to that place, you know, where if this is what's in your head, that, like, if it's a relationship thing that you every time you try to go have one, it fails for whatever reason. It's like riding a bike. You gotta learn how to ride. You gotta fall off. You gotta be unsteady. You gotta make the wrong choice and get hurt, you know, but you get up and you do it again. Like, you get up and walk again. If you trip, if you fall off the bike, you mostly don't go, I'll never ride a bike again. You get back on it because you want to learn how to do that. So isn't it funny that you can do that? You can go through all of that, like with riding a bike or a skateboard, and just falling all over and breaking stuff, but you don't want to quit. You just like, oh, my leg is broken, I can't wait to start doing it. Like, you're driven to do it. I feel like we got to kind of look at unpleasant things that way, especially in the repetitive situation, because it's not a punishment on you. It's not a illustration of what you're doing wrong. It's just kind of like on the relationship thing, it's the equivalent of the learning how to riding a bike and messing up and failing at it until you get it right. Of going through frogs, like dating all the frogs until you find the one that's the prince and not a frog, you know. But that is more, believe it or not, about you than the other people that you are thinking of. Like, you know, whoever you have your eye on or that you're dreaming of for your relationship fantasy game, fantasy team, you maybe will meet that person a number of times before, you go through your frogs or your falls, and you learn how to do it. You learn how to stay balanced, and you have control, and you feel confident, and I'm not falling anymore. I know how not to fall. And that's why all the frogs. And then all of a sudden you're in that receptive space in the right way, and then you end up finding your person. And that's just one example of the way that kind of we have our life just happens like that all of the time. And I feel like we don't notice unless we're really into it. Like, I really want to, we'll stick to the ones I had in the first place. Like, I really want to learn how to ride that bike or ride that skateboard. And, like, even beyond that, it's like you have such a passion for it that it becomes your business, that, it becomes a source of marketable income, and it's just something you like doing anyway. Like, that's that's a win in my book. But so anyway, back to the conversation that Don Lemon was having with his guest. They're like naming all of this stuff, and I feel like they're missing a point of, like I said, not to disinclude what they were saying, but they didn't also include what I was saying. Like, it's time to take out the mirror, and I guess that's a whole nother point. You got to eventually start just taking responsibility, and also just accepting sometimes it's gonna suck. Like, things are not gonna always go right, and the the girl ain't gonna always like you. And you know what? That works both ways. Like, it happens to us too. Like, we get our hopes up and we get them dashed. I don't know if you've heard, but there's lots of romance novels and movies about it. It happens to everyone. Like, but to focus on this particular group, there's like a whole spectrum of things that play into why things in your life go the way that they go. And boy, when you're more conscious of your role in things, you start to have the ability to sort of control the situation a little bit better than just haphazard things happening to you. And oh my God, what now? It's like, you don't have to be like unmoored. You can have some control. I'm getting hot. So, okay, come on. This is the thing that got me really thinking. Was at one point, the guy said, so yes, you have all of the stuff out there, and like all of the mod cons, like I was talking about, the opportunities, they say everyone, so we all know that everything is not available to everyone. I guess I could have left that out, but I didn't. I decided not to. But he said, what do you do? The problem that some of them were running into, that was this existential thing that was like, mentally like really damaging people and making them want to hurt themselves, I guess, because they were feeling like they were not succeeding. They were not meeting some marker that there's some things, like I was saying, that are considered to be successful. Like, if you've done this, it's a success. You're on your way to success. So he was saying, what if you've got all of the stuff, like you got the degree and you got the 5-figure job and you're the tech bro or the finance guy or real estate or like whatever you're doing that you're succeeding in, and you got like the house and the family and the boat and the car that's blah blah blah, and you still feel empty. That is because you have not looked in the place inside of you where you can fill up your own self. But he said, this was the point for me that sort of got me going on the point that I will eventually get to. He said, I have all this stuff. I have nothing to complain about. I feel empty. What is my purpose? And then my brain went bing, 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 bing. Like a pinball machine, because what is my purpose is when your life starts to change. Like when you do all of the stuff that you're supposed to do to make you succeed or make you a success and bring you happiness. And happiness in that vein is usually something that's like everybody can look at you and go, ooh, wow, they did it. I envy that person. Or, like a grass is greener kind of mindset, which is, my God, do you ever get out of that? Do you ever get to quit competing with your neighbor? Or can you just ever give it a rest? That I have not pursued any of that stuff. And it just sounds terrible. But when you start asking, what is my purpose, then you have switched into a whole new timeline, I would say, because for me, that's when your spiritual doors start to open. When you start asking what your purpose is, that's like, why am I here? And why am I here goes back to before you were here, because that is when that life blueprint gets all plotted out, and you do that with a gigantic team of people that you will in some way interact with or affect throughout your lifetime. Mind-blowing concept, but I like it. I mean, for a lot of reasons it resonates for me, but in this particular time of uncertainty and anxiety, it gives me a little bit, it makes it a little bit easier to not freak out about what could potentially affect me in a negative way. Like it's something I need getting taken away, because that's what's been happening. Oh my goodness, excuse me. So, but when you start asking those kinds of questions, it's gonna go back to like I was saying, that life blueprint thing, and from there you start realizing, well, wait a second, something completely else is happening here than I thought. But it's not. It's both. It's yes and. It's like the thing that happened before that we don't always, all of us, remember that happened. We have to remind ourselves, and that's also what starts happening when we start asking, what is my purpose? So it's like you stepped through the doorway into the awakening part of your life, and I think that's awesome. So I thought, since we're gonna we're talking about someone moving into the spiritual realm, I pulled some angel number cards. So we got this one. Okay. Oh, this is the wrong order. Okay, that's right. So we got 333. That's a number that is generally goes to spirit. You think of spirit with it. It's like yeah. It's like a God number. The subtitle is support, and it says, seeing the angel number 333 is a sign that it's time to focus inward. Work on your skills, discover your talents, and use your imagination. So, those old skills for success, whoops, get rid of those. Start doing something different. Because you're at a crossroads already. Like, what am I doing? So here's some advice. Unleash your inner artist. Doing so will boost your self-esteem and sense of competence. It does wonders for your sense of purpose and contributes to your community, which can be quite fulfilling. There's keywords, but I got kind of a bunch of cards here, so I'm going to keep going. Next one is 99.99. And the subtitle is Lessons Learned. Take stock of your accomplishments and how you arrived at them. This is a reminder to remain optimism and drive toward your goals. And I think that is to say that even though you may have moved to another level from like meeting all of your success goals from, let's call it, your previous life, that doesn't mean that you don't have to discard that stuff too. Like, it's still going to be of use to you probably. So this is a reminder to maintain optimism and drive toward your goals. Same kind of mindset you would have had to reach your success goals. Maintain your momentum and know that the powers of heaven have your back. You made it, and the reward goes to yo. It says that, and the reward goes to yo. Get all that glare out. I love these cards. My favorite other one is in here too. The next card is, wasn't that funny? It was 10-10 when I started. You just shuffle, but I said it was remove the zeros and it's 11. You shuffle that around again, you got 10-10. Yay! Subtitle is Belief System. You're blessed with talents and skills that make it easy for you to stand out from the crowd. Well, that's how you got successful, I bet. Embrace what makes you different. That's your path to success. Your dreams will soon come true. Wow. So, I mean, having like already gained success by the typical metric that is generally accepted, it's like you had everything and you were still left wanting. Were there dreams beyond what was expected? That is your chance to use your talents and skills and use your creativity, because you are no longer confined by like what society expects from you. So next card is 1, 2, 3, 4. And the subtitle is Good Luck. You are on the right track. Someone from the other side has your back and encourages you to try your best. You will succeed in a new way. That last bit I added. Observe your surroundings and communicate clearly. Be sure that everything will fall to pieces, which I think they meant to say fall together because that makes more sense. I should just write that on there. I don't really have to say it every time, do I? Next card is reset your odometer. And it reads, oh right, it has a subtitle, Limitless Potential. I mean, you got like a whole new board to play on, like all new vistas of what the heck you could dream up to do. Oh, got a little too free with that arm. Okay, it serves as a timely reminder that anything can be accomplished. If you can dream it, there's no reason you can't make it a reality. If something is in the possession of another person, it is also available to you. So try to remain calm. What's meant for you won't pass you by. Let go of tension. Relax. You know, there's something to be said of letting go of your tension and relaxing, because when you do that, it's like going to sleep on it. You fully relax, and like, especially when you're sleeping, you relinquish so much of your awareness when you're awake, and you pretty much just leave everything to autonomous function while you're sleeping, because you're sleeping and maybe you're also astral traveling while you're sleeping. Wow, what's happening? Yeah, so yeah, astral traveling while you're sleeping. A time when you are like You know, you're so relaxed you drool in some cases. And that is when your inner noise and static shuts off or goes down low enough to a dull roar so you can hear stuff that's kind of trying to transmit to you from outside, like spiritual messages, for example. So this is the last of these cards, 0606, and the subtitle is Commitment. Applying honesty and light daily is a fast track to creating a peaceful and meaningful life. That is probably not what you were doing in your business life, your 9 to 5. So it goes on to say, it's how you find solutions and comfort. Release worries by speaking your truth and expressing emotions regularly. That is helpful. I mean, it might take some getting used to the speaking your truth, because I can tell you the first time I heard that, I was like, what do you mean speak my truth? Doesn't there have to be a truth that everybody agrees on, or else it's just all crazy? Like no rules, nothing nailed down, trains flying off tracks, you know, just crazy. But you know what? It took a while, but I get it now, because we do all have our own truth. We have our own perception of things. And you can share that with other people. That's not a guarantee that everyone's going to adopt yours with you, because we all have our own. And I know, like, gee, it would be fun if everybody did things my way once in a while, you know? So, okay, I already read it. I'm going to finish up and have 4 little kitty cards. And so, I want to bring us back to the part where the guy said, I have it all. I kind of don't want it. It's not what I thought it was going to be. It's a disappointment. I don't know what I'm doing with my life now. What is my purpose? That what is my purpose is the death of that other life. And with death comes renewal. You are, let the old life go. I mean, don't discard it completely. Like I said, it's not useless. There's definitely, you always gain something out of experience. So again, don't think that you need to be discarding stuff, but it doesn't no longer have to be the focus of your life. That is all gone now. You have spent possibly your life living in a way that judgment has confined you to other people's judgment. The shared truth that certain things equal success, and to have success and be successful, you must successfully attain these markers to success. Oh, it's exhausting. I don't know anything to do with it. But now that you have discarded that old lifestyle, that old you are now free to judge for yourself what the heck you see fit, you know, that's like kosher in your life. It's up to you now. Like, you're not confined by expectations anymore. Excuse me. There will be a transition, of course. That'll be, perhaps you'll make some changes that, always when we do stuff, it affects other people. If you have people close to you and you're making a drastic change, like going from being like a CEO for Office Max to becoming like a dog walker, or, just some kind of crazy, polar self to the one that everyone knew you for being forever, like you were etched in stone, even you. And so when you ask the question, what is my purpose, it's a game changer. And you and other people are going to have to reckon with new changes. Might not be comfortable. Some people might not be happy with you. If you change your image and people like the one that they have of you in their mind, they can get all bent out of shape. Don't tell me you have not experienced that in your life. So here's the last card from the kitties, and it is the Chariot. So this guy is like, okay, got my new whip, got my new orders, got my new me, I'm out, I'm gone, I'm on the road to new things, and it's exciting. Like, things are going to start moving very quickly, maybe quicker than they have in the past, because you went through all of these changes and released yourself from it sounds like one of the reasons why I didn't pursue any of those things that I mentioned is because I sound like I want to die if I had to do it. But the person, or theoretical or rhetorical, our imaginary person, is now free from those expectations and judgments and all of that stuff. So it's an exciting adventure, I think. Like, it can be fearful, but it can be so gratifying too, because you're kind of inextricably here in many ways. And some of us are, what's on our blueprint is to be here for a while and then go, and then be the arbiter of that impact that happens to other people. And it could be anyone, it could be several someone's, and we all kind of take note when we lose someone, when someone passes. And why am I going there? What the heck am I talking about? But we're talking about an old you passing, and that's not a bad thing. Like I said, you don't discard the intel, like whatever you learn from your stifling life, and you break free. And honestly, you could not change your job, but when your mindset changes and you start asking, what is my purpose? Like, seriously, when you're just like, this ain't it. Like, whatever you're doing, whatever your job is that you maybe always sort of knew you didn't really like or want to be doing, but just felt like, that's what was expected of you. You can just find yourself in a whole different world just in your mind when you start introducing these concepts to yourself, because, well, I mean, you're getting rid of a bunch of old trash, like old hoarder stuff, and getting all this new, bright, exciting information. And I'm like thrilled when I hear someone is asking that question, because I know what there could be. Not everyone goes like that way. I don't know if that's the case. Like, if you ask that question, you might not make the sort of leap into the idea that there's more to go into. Now I know why I'm hanging around and lingering. I have a little something. Oh, where is it? Oh, I guess it's pretty short. After all of the goals have been achieved and all of the markers of success have been met, and you find yourself asking, what is wrong? You're lonely, but you're not lacking a thing, and yet you're unhappy still. You feel down and you wonder, what is your purpose? That may sound depressed and desolate, but in reality, those can be breakthrough questions, not rock bottom ones. Well, hold on. Take it back. Sometimes it takes a dark night of the soul to trigger the question. The questioning of our purpose. I almost started saying this when I started reading. So we can question our purpose, but we may not always make the leap to, like, the spiritual questions that are beyond what is my purpose. You could go the depressed and desolate way and just be stuck there because you can't figure it out, but that may be someone that's still in that phase of judgment themselves where they're like, this is what's expected of me. I couldn't do any kind of weird thing like quit my job and go live in an ashram for a year and learn what's to be learned about that type of knowledge. So I guess I'm saying it's not a guarantee just because you ask that question. Things like maybe more frogs and more falls have to happen, but I'm sure it's subjective. It depends on the person. So let me finish up here real quick. To move us to a next state of consciousness. Oh, let me read that last sentence again to make it make sense. Boy, I'm not really doing punctuation on here. I'm going to have to start in the middle. In reality, those questions can be breakthrough questions, not rock bottom ones. Well, hold on. Take it back. Sometimes it takes a dark night of the soul to trigger the questioning of our purpose, to move us to a next stage of consciousness, to enlightenment, and awakening to the answer to the question. No, it's not all there is. There is so much more. Okay. Thank you and good night.